Shakespeare says, all the world's a stage, and the men and women merely players. You saw that? That's the stage out there, ain't it? The world is the stage, and we're just players. He forgot to mention that I was the chief critic. Get some acceptance about that one. Huh? Have you come to the acceptance that you are the chief critic? Whether in your own life or somebody else's life, I know I am. I know I can be a hypocrite. I know I can be critical. I know I can be judgmental. I know that I don't play fair. I know that what I do, you shouldn't do. You see what I'm saying? I know that. Now, don't stop me from operating in it. Because it's hard to do. It's hard. Says, man, I was always able, check this out, to see the flaw in every person, every situation, and I was always glad to point it out. Not only was I able, come on, man, y'all gonna leave me by myself? Huh? Y'all gonna leave me stuck on this island by myself? I was able to see the flaw. Oh, get that speck out your own eye. Huh? You know, forget the speck, I mean that log. Get that log out of your own eye first. That's me. That's me. And those are some hard realities to accept. Remember I told y'all take the dope out the game? There's some other things about us that's hard to accept about ourselves. You know why? Because we see ourselves. Forget that. We're too close to ourselves to really see ourselves. Don't nobody want to admit this stuff themselves. Don't none of us want to admit that we some of them character defects that we named earlier. Don't none of us want to admit that we are manipulators and liars and cheats and low down and dirty and wretched. We don't want to admit that. Why? Because that affects my self-esteem. Why? Because obviously I am thinking more highly of myself than I really am. You know, I'm at a 9.99 in my eyes. But the reality, son, you're probably operating at a 0.009. We ain't even hit 1 yet. Huh? Or 0.099 something. We ain't at 1. But we think we up here. And he says, check this out. And I was glad to. I was glad to point it out. Why? Because there are some things about me that I obviously wanted to cover up. And I figured that if I put enough salt on you, you couldn't see that I didn't have no flavor myself. Huh? If I put enough dirty salt on you, cover you up, you'd realize he ain't no good neither. Check this out. It gets good.
Hold on tight.
He says, and I was glad to point it out because I knew you wanted perfection just as I did. Oh, wow. See, you hear the justification in that? You hear the rationalizing in that? You hear the minimizing in that? The line, he just flat out lying. Man, please. Well, see, I want to hold you accountable. I want to hold you to the law because I know that's what you would want. See, I'm a perfectionist, and you know what I found out? Everybody is not a perfectionist. for me, you know, everything has its place, and this ought to go there, and you know what I'm saying, you just ought to be this, and you ought to do it the way I do it, because my way is what?
The right way.
We started out talking about that, didn't we? Huh? That maybe, just maybe, there's another way to skin this cat. But because you ain't skinning it my way, you're wrong. Figure that one out. I didn't figure that one out. Don't always operate it in them. One scripture we need to hurry up and get to is I guess that in Philippians. He says, not meaning to say that I have achieved all these things myself. It's something like this. In Philippians? I think it's Philippians. And I just need to let y'all know that everything we talk about, I ain't there yet. You follow me? Now, that don't work with everybody else, because everybody else believes that everything that you talk about, you ought to already be there. I ain't there. You hear me? And I'm a long, long way. But the idea is what? Pressing forward. Striving for that mark.
Progress, not perfection.
What is the mark? Perfection. That is the mark that we are to strive for. Yet knowing we will not achieve until the day of completion. But the idea is that I live my life in such a way that it looks like perfection. It just looks like that. God has set the bar so high that he knew we would never be able to achieve it. But he says just because you cannot achieve it does not mean you shouldn't strive for it. That means that you shouldn't do better. That you should not, you know, that you should give everything that you have. Y'all got me? Mm-hmm. But he says, because I was a perfectionist, I just knew you wanted to be, you know, you wanted to be perfect too. Now I'm putting my perfection on your perfection. I don't know what that equals. You follow me? Yeah. Because the reality is none of us is perfect. So we probably back at a zero. You and me. He says, I knew you wanted perfection just as I did. And AA, he says, AA and acceptance have taught me that there's a bit of good in the worst of us and a bit of bad in the best of us. We got to get with that. That's true, ain't it? It's true. That we are all children of God. Ooh, whoo, and we each have a right to be here. You know that? God has created, and God has uniquely created you. God said you are supposed to be here. One guy says that if God created us alike, then one of us wouldn't need to be here. We wouldn't need to be here, would we? And so God uniquely created us, and he says you're supposed to be here. That you are a child of God. You're a child of God. How else did you get here? You just morphed here? You just popped up one day and you was here? Nah. At some point, even my being born, for the atheists and everybody else, have to realize that there has to be a God. For a baby to come out of a mother, how does all that just happen? It just happens? Huh? Sit up, Kyle. Button your pants up, son. Come on, man. Well, you're going to have to get some new pants, do something. He says, when I complain about me or about you, oh Lord, I am complaining about God's handiwork. Wow. Why? Because God created you. Now, you know what I'm doing? I'm playing God. God I messed up. Yeah. God didn't create you right. Let me fix you. Huh? God don't know what he's doing. Let me fix you. He says, when I'm complaining about me, because I'm my own worst critic, at the end of the day, I'm my own worst critic. I'm my own worst enemy. And I complain about what God is doing. I complain about how God created me. And then I go to complaining about you. Probably because I ain't really too thrilled about me. And because I see some stuff about me that I don't like, I need to find some stuff about you so that I can feel good about me. And the whole while complaining about God's handiwork. All of us have been down to the potter's house. And God has created us in what seems best to him. Not me, not you, but to God. You are God's handiwork. I didn't take you. I didn't mold you. Your mama didn't take you and mold you and bring you thus here and all of that. That was God's handiwork on display. And I find a way to criticize what God has done and doing. Ugh. I'm saying that I know better than God. For years, I was sure the worst thing that could happen to a nice guy like me, yeah, because I am, I'm a nice guy. Yeah, I'm a nice guy. All of us, for some reason, seem to think we just nice guys. I'm a nice guy. Why could this happen to me? I'm a nice guy. Well, I found out nice guys get high. I found out nice guys go through problems. Nice guys have issues. Nice guys have flaws. Nice guys, you know what, ain't really that nice. But he says, for years I was sure that the worst thing that could happen to a nice guy like me, that I would turn out to be an alcoholic. Check this out. He says, today I find out that it's the best thing that has ever happened to me. Now, how many of y'all really believe that? That finding out that you was an alcoholic and a dope fiend and all that stuff was the best thing that ever happened to you.
Yeah.
Why?
Because now I know I can't drink and use anymore.
You figured, no. You knew that prior to coming here that you couldn't have it. You knew that prior that getting high wasn't fun no more. Good. You can finally accept it. We ain't doing that too good a job of this. We've known for years that we was addicts and we just now accepting it. That ain't a good one either.
And you realize my need for God.
I realized my need for God. Nah, you got baptized when you was how old? Huh?
Oh, yeah.
You been going to church for how long? So my need for God, I've always known. I'm really trying to go too deep on it. Y'all know I ain't deep.
We find out who we really are.
We find out who we really are.
You get a new life.
Still too good.
We get a new life. Today I find it's the best thing that has ever happened to me. And the reality is that my addiction is no longer a liability to me. My addiction is an asset to me. Addiction did what nothing else could do. Addiction slapped me in the face. You follow me? Addiction slapped me in the face. Real, one of them open hands. You ever been slapped? I'd rather you punch me in the face than slap me with your hand. You ever, that hurt, don't it? Y'all been slapped before.
Yeah, I've heard that.
It's the best thing that ever happened to me because I probably, more than likely, would have never changed into the person that I am trying to become. Not that I am. Now I'm a little better, but I ain't that far from going back. I got more years using than I do clean. So I'm always inclined to get high rather than I am to stay sober. But what this thing has done is allow me addiction to live a life that I probably would not have lived before. Ain't no way we wouldn't be doing this morning.
Found a new way of life.
We wouldn't class over with. Let's go get one. You follow me? Y'all got to get with that too. If it was not for the consequences, we wouldn't have stopped using.
Yeah.
The consequences got so great that I said I don't want to do that no more. And honestly, that's the only reason. If I could smoke a 20 and still go to work, and still go to church, and still serve, and still do all that stuff, and still take care of my family, and and play golf, and all of that, yeah, let's go get one. I'm buying. You follow me?
Yeah.
That's real stuff.
Absolutely.
If I could drink without getting drunk, and getting DWIs, and tearing up everything in the house, then you know what? Hell, give me a fifth. Yeah. He says today I find out it's the best thing that ever happened to me. Man, I would not read God's word the way I do. I wouldn't try to practice it. I wouldn't serve nowhere. I wouldn't go to church, I ain't doing all that well now, but you know what I'm saying? I wouldn't even think about no church. Bible study, meet with the who? Man, please. We're gonna go to the club. We're not gonna do this. For what? I ain't by myself. Huh? Ain't no way. I'd have came to treat. He says today is the best thing that has ever happened to me. You better get that attitude. He says, if I don't know what's good for me, then I don't know what's good or bad for you or for anyone. So I'm better off if I don't give advice, don't figure I know what's best, and just accept life on life's terms. That's what Stanley said earlier. Don't do nothing. Shut up, go sit down somewhere, and let them folks be who they are. Huh? That's what he said. I'm better off if I don't give advice. Because most ain't trying to hear it no way. He says, especially my own life, as it actually is. Before I judge myself by my intentions, while the world was judging us by our actions. Oh, we had some good intentions. We had some of them I'ma do's. When I get paid, I'm going to do this. And when I get clean, I'm going to do this. And I'm going to do. And yet we never could live up to our intentions. And we got mad. Remember, we got mad at the very people that judged me based off of what I told them. Y'all mad at some folks that have judged you because you said, I ain't gonna do it no more. I promise you, mama. I promise you, daughter. I promise you, kids. I promise you, wife. I ain't gonna do it no more. And we did it, and they got mad. And now we mad at them because, and then we quick to say, oh, you judging me. you know what? What I can judge, I can't judge your desire. You follow me? Because you just being here shows a desire. But if the desire was it, we can all go home. Because we all desire that, don't we? But the reality is, a desire without action was just a good intention. That's it. And so they're looking at not the words that, well, they are. They're looking at the words that came out of our mouth and trying to match what came out of my mouth with the actions that I'm displaying. And you know what? They don't match up. And you know what's happening? They call us on it. And you know what happens? We get mad. We get mad. But the reality is they're only judging you about what you said you was going to do.